What's up, guys? Barry Gamer here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today we're going to talk about one of the really important things that I think nobody really talks about and no tier lists really give justification or credit due where it is, and that is the top 5 support heroes every single account needs to have, at least at some part of the game. So most of these are going to be ones you're going to want very early on. Other ones are more later game support heroes, but they're definitely ones you need on the team because they're not going to be doing the most damage for you. Well, some actually might, but they're going to give you the most bang for your buck for your damage dealers and for certain game modes. So let's jump right into it. So starting off, coming in at number 5 is going to be Ignis. Now, some of you might actually want her higher on this list, but because her main uses are in very late game, she's not needed for most people that are in the earlier game. Once you're finally pushing in Void Vortex, that's when you really want to get some Ignis or Igni on your account. At least one, definitely two if you're definitely pushing past Explore in Void Vortex. She is the best healer in the game, I'll say that much. Mainly because of the way her heal works. She gives energy and she also gives control immunity. So let's jump into it. She's also one of the most important heroes when you're talking about Void Arc bosses as well, because of this right here. When Ignis dies, she will heal the nearest ally hero whose lineup position is in the forward slot, takes priority, by 100% of the ally's max HP, aka full heal, and increases the ally by 100 energy. So that means even if they already have energy, that 100 energy gets converted into an extra 100% skill damage. In case you guys didn't know, that extra energy that your heroes have gets converted into skill damage in all game modes. And the big one here is and 100% of the control immunity too. So if you put this on a hero, especially when we're talking about the arc bosses, because you know it's only a 6-round battle, that's all you get, plus the boss stuns a ton. That's really important to make sure your hero is attacking every single attack to make sure they get the maximum damage. This is going to be huge. The energy is a nice perk as well, and then of course on the active as well, does the similar setup where it targets the heal to the lowest HP ally and then increases the nearest ally 40% damage reduction for 3 rounds and gives them 100 energy. So both on death and active, she'll be given energy to your heroes, and that's probably one of the most important things too, because in Void Vortex your whole goal is to get your Tixes to use as many actives as possible between Ignis's active, death passive, all those fun things. So that's why I put her at number 5, just because it's mainly all Void stuff you really want her for, but she does have other uses in the earlier game as well. Coming in at number 4, I am putting Rogan on that spot. Now, I kind of struggled because I kind of wanted to flip-flop Ignis and Rogan, but Rogan just has so many uses from 5-star all the way up to endgame. He's one of the most versatile buffers you will ever see in this game, and it really comes down to one thing right here. It is his last passive, Warpath Roar. So at the beginning of battle, increase all allies 20 speed and 20% crit damage for 2 rounds. That's already like solid numbers right there. Second part, assassin allies will enjoy the double bonus, so they'll be getting 40 speed and 40% crit damage at the beginning of combat. Then, when a round ends, it increases all allies 20% of attack and 10% crit for 2 rounds. So this can keep stacking. Allies, once again, that are assassins will get double the bonus. So every single round he stays alive, your other assassins will be getting 40% attack and 20% crit for 2 rounds. So it'll go up to like, what's that? Quick math, 80% and 40% crit. So that's a lot of stats right there. He is very, very good. I mean, you've seen most of our free-to-play accounts. If we're talking normal heroes, we want 5-star Rogans on our team just for the buffs. Like, just for if they live an extra round, that's going to be great for your main E5 hero. You're going to be using him in Forest Sealand as a support, mainly due to Bloodthirsty Predator, the active. So the damage portion doesn't really matter. What is really good is the ability to give Bloodthirsty to 2 random allies. So that essentially does, when a hero is granted Bloodthirsty, and they release an active or basic attack, they deal extra damage equal to 20% of the target's lost HP. Of course, the damage caps at that hero's 1500% attack and restores the hero by HP of 30% of the damage dealt. Not stackable, but this is a really important buff, especially on like your Garuda when we're talking about Sealand. This is absolutely amazing extra damage if we're talking about Void Vortex, when you're giving that to your Tix potentially for even more damage when Tix uses yet another active. There's a lot of really great things with this. Rogan can be very fast as well, so in Void Vortex you can have him going very fast with a Splendid A and B so that he uses his active round 1 while giving energy to your allies plus Bloodthirsty. So it's a lot of really cool combos with Rogan. He's by far the most versatile support in every stage of the game, no matter whether you're talking about PvP, PvE, anything. He is most versatile and one of my favorite support heroes in the game. Coming in at number 3 is going to be Drake. Drake is one of the probably best first dark heroes you can build if you can afford to. Besides that, carry is always a great one, but Drake is really, really good, mainly, once again, because of the last passive that he has. It's a common theme with all these assassins, huh? So every time an active or basic attack is performed, Drake gains Shadow Lure for 1 round. When the battle starts and when the round ends, Drake inflicts defense down to the enemy with the lowest HP. So Shadow Lure's kind of cool. It's basically his ability to dodge active and basic attacks. Not really what we care about here. What we really care about here is defense down. Skill effect: reduce the target 100% of armor, damage reduction, all damage reduction, block, and dodge. Not stackable, but it doesn't really matter because you are essentially taking every single PvE boss in the game down to 0 damage reduction. It's essentially giving all of your heroes true damage. Like, there's nothing that is going to reduce the damage of your big damage dealers when you have a Drake on the field. Now, you have to make sure he lives long enough because, yes, it does happen at the beginning of a round and then also at the end of a round. Or no, sorry, not the beginning. When the battle starts and the end of every single round. It lasts for 2 rounds, so even if Drake does die, that buff will stay an extra round after he's dead, which is a really nice thing. But lowering the target's like damage reduction to nothing is how you see these gigantic damage numbers when we're talking about PvE. And he's actually not too bad in PvP for quite a bit of the game. He does have a really nice active with black hole damage, which essentially means if he's one of the fastest and gets that black hole mark out very quickly, you're going to be dealing extra damage at the end of the round for anybody who also hits the targets that have the black hole on it. Really great support. Probably one of the best PvE support heroes in the game. But number 2 kind of trumps him, so let's jump on over to that. Yes, number 2, Heart Watcher. No, she's not at number 1. You're probably like, wait, who's number 1? We'll get to that in a minute. Number 2 is Heart Watcher. Probably, definitely the oldest hero on this list. Definitely one of the older heroes in the game overall. She's been around quite a while. She's not old, but she's significantly older. She's, like 3 years old. I forget exactly what date she came out. But she is the queen of PvE support. Why? She doesn't do damage. No. She doesn't do damage. What she does do is she puts Watcher marks on targets. Now, what do Watcher marks actually do? Mark targets inflicted with Watcher mark will take an extra 45% damage when attacked. This stacks all the way up to 300%. Her basic also does the same thing, except instead of 45%, it gives 35%. So that's the difference between the active and the basic. The one other positive of the active is it will reduce the target by 25% of attack for 2 rounds. If you pair Heart Watcher with a Delasium as well, you can really start knocking the enemy's damage down to the point where you don't even need a healer. You don't need nothing. Everybody in your team is going to stay alive. But this right here is huge. At 10 star, she's going to be getting this, I believe, in 8 rounds, so long as she's not CC'd, and we're only talking about 2 targets in broken spaces. When you're talking about 3 targets in Flame Shrine, it gets a little tricky because usually you have Drake, and that means the front target is the one with defense down. Well, she doesn't always hit the front target, so sometimes it'll take a few extra rounds. The other nice thing about Heart Watcher is even at the lower tiers, if we look at the 9-star version of her, where is she? 9-star, it's only 25% and 20%, so it does take about 10 rounds to stack that all the way to max if you're talking about Broken Spaces, Flame Shrine. Again, it's going to take a little bit longer based on RNG, but she is by far the highest damage multiplier you will ever see when it comes to PvE, and that's why she is at number 2. And finally, coming in at number 1 is Scarlet Queen Halora. Yes, we're putting a Transcendence hero on the list, and yes, she's a great damage dealer, but she has just some insane support and versatility no matter what game mode we're talking about. Of course, Sea Land, that doesn't really count because Transcendence at least doesn't have a Sea Land yet. We might have one in the future, you never know. But at the time being, she is one of the most versatile supports in the game. We're literally going to go over every one of her abilities because every one of them is a team support oriented ability. It's the main reason why we didn't put Heart Watcher at number 1 is because Heart Watcher is only good in PvE, where Queen is going to be used in every single game mode and is one of the most important heroes to have at the extreme end game. This should be your first E5 Transcendence hero that you actually build. Better than Asmodel, better than Sword Flash when you're talking about overall performance, and of course she's absolutely necessary for pushing in Void Vortex. So her first passive, Queen's Edict, she does damage against 3 targets and reduces their crit by 20%, so that's less crit damage coming in. Also increases self crit, don't really care about that. Second one, Ultimate Queenship. When a round ends, for every 1 survived ally in battle, restores 4% HP. That's really good to keep her alive. This one is really, really good. Royal Guard. When the battle starts, grants all allies except herself the Queen's Guard buff and increases their all damage dealt by 15%. That is a very important bonus, 15% all damage dealt. It's really, really, really important when we're talking about Void Vortex. What does the Queen's Guard effect do? Well, the skill effect, when she is attacked by an active or basic attack, everybody on your team that has that buff will counterattack the hero that attacked them for 800% of their attack. So, of course, if you have a bunch of support heroes with her, they're not going to do a lot. But if you have a lot of carry damage dealers, you're going to see some huge, huge numbers. You've probably seen some videos on our channel here with our Adas that were void imprinted doing ridiculous numbers of damage from Royal Guard. It's a really fun ability. Then, of course, her active as well. It hits 4 targets, lets them bleed, but it also leaves Abyssal Corruption on them as well. And what that does is corrupted heroes deal 10% less crit damage and take 15% more crit damage. So between that 15% more crit damage and the all damage dealt, those are 2 really important stats. Then again, she also reduces crit and crit damage. So she helps keep your team alive. She's really solid. She is by far the best first Transcendence hero for anybody to build, no matter if you're free to play, pay to win, any of that stuff. She will do the best in every game mode compared to others. Now, of course, people like Sword Flash will do better single target damage. They'll do better in PvP, but they don't really have a place in the actual end game outside of PvP that is the Void. Scarlet Queen Halora, number 1 support. Please, please, please build her as your first Transcendence hero. So what do you guys think? Do you think I messed anything up? Would you change any order? Again, I had so many questions, like should Rogan be 5 and Ignis be 4, just because Ignis is so important in Void Vortex. I mean, that's kind of why we put Scarlet Queen Halora so high, because of Void Vortex, but hard to say. Rogan just has so many uses in so many different game modes. And then, of course, you have Drake and Heart Watcher. They're just 2 of the best PvE supports in the game, period. And then my girl, Scarlet Queen Halora, she should definitely be your first E5. I felt a little bad putting a Transcendence at number 1, but it just felt like it had to be done. So let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let me know what other series you want to see, any other guys, anything like that. Do you want to see what the best top damage dealers are? Do you want to see a PvE tier list, a PvP tier list? You guys let me know, and I'll try to make it for you. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos coming out. And I'll see you guys next time.